Thanks for tuning in to this episode of the Live at Lunch series on the Resilient Advisor Show. My name is Jay Coulter, and joining me today for this episode is Tyrone Ross. Tyrone, thanks for coming back on the show.
Of course. Thank you for having me.
So last time we broadcast, it worked on every channel except Twitter, where it timed out about halfway through. My apologies to your audience. If you are watching this live on Twitter, YouTube, Facebook, all the social media platforms, please feel free to ask Tyrone questions about crypto, Bitcoin, blockchain. We can pose them to him during this broadcast. But Tyrone, before we get started today, last night I was challenged to something called the Eat a Lemon Challenge. And my friend Penny Phillips of Thrivos Consulting challenged me on LinkedIn. And I got to be honest with you, my first reaction was, man, I don't want to do it. I don't want to eat a lemon. I'm not good at these things. And then I started thinking, this is actually for a great cause. Social media is something I have a love-hate relationship with.
Yeah,
it's a cesspool, but at the same time, it can be a platform for greater good. And I know you have been able to leverage it that way.
Absolutely.
And as I looked at this Eat a Lemon Challenge, Tyrone, the problem that they have is raising money in this COVID age. You can't get together and do fundraisers, so they're trying to do it digitally.
Let's go.
Penny is supporting Alex's lemonade stand, and you will find a link to it in the notes and in the comments as we are broadcasting this. And this is Alex here and her story. She fought childhood cancer from the age of 2 on. She's raising money. I'm going to do this for my friend Dana Wright, who battled childhood cancer and won as a young man. And today his wife, Angela, is battling cancer. And I've got to tell you, there's nothing pretty about eating a lemon on video and then broadcasting. Would you agree?
Absolutely. 100%. And I will say I want to do this for my grandmother, who I have a bracelet on for her, who died of cancer as well. So for sure.
Excellent. First, Tyrone, let's call Penny out a little bit and let's let everybody watch her eat the lemon.
Here we go. I never do these types of challenges, but this one's worth it.
I like that.
She did it.
Oh,
she did it. Man.
That's
all right. So I'm going to do it. And Tyrone, he knew in advance. I'm challenging him, and he didn't even hesitate. You ready?
Let's do it. Ooh. Oh, my God.
That was awful. And it's as hard to talk afterwards as I thought it might be.
Yeah. Ooh.
All right, I'm posting a link to support that organization in the comments. Hopefully you can donate, and I'm going to spread the love with this, and I'm going to nominate the great marketing professional Samantha Russell of 20 Over 10 and Lead Pilot to come on and do the exact same thing.
Oh, there's the first tier. That's a mess. This is a whole mess.
That's awesome. All right. So to support Alex's lemonade stand, please visit the link that you see here. I'll have it scrolling at the bottom as we go through. And of course, Penny, thank you for including us in this program. All right, Tyrone, let's pivot and let's talk crypto. Before we get started on that space, I would like tell us a little bit about Onramp, your crypto firm, how advisors can learn more about the offering.
So Onramp, you can go to Onramp Invest. Look at that. So Tom, you are smooth, man.
Like that.
You can go there to sign up. I encourage everybody to go there, sign up, join the wait list. So what Onramp is, will be a platform, as you see there, for advisors to finally onboard their clients safely, securely, compliantly into Bitcoin. And be able to model, to be able to plan, to be able to do performance reporting, billing, the whole kit and caboodle. And you don't have to worry about going to another screen. It's going to be open API that works with your workflow already, which we all know advisors are sticklers about their workflow. And also, again, because I am an advisor, I know some of the sticking points and choke points. We also are going to address uniquely some of the issues that SEC registered advisors have as well, going to next length with custody statements for clients, security, and things like that. So that's it in a nutshell. Please, everyone, run to the waitlist, sign up. We have some news coming that we'll talk about in a little bit that we're excited to announce. We're in the middle of a fundraise now. We're raising a small round to be able to grow the team. And again, shout out to the team that is there. Shout out to my Onramp family. Everybody's working hard. Small but mighty group right now, but we're really excited about what we're building. And obviously everyone else is as well, because the inbound that we're getting from investors and just questions in general is really, really awesome. Even got a DM, I think it was last week, where someone reached out and was like, I have a client that's interested in the platform. Is it ready yet? I'm like, not yet. We got to build it. So everyone's excited. We're super excited. Swag has gone out. Folks will be getting some swag soon. We got to get some to you, but we're tinkering fast, building fast. I had a really great conversation with someone last night that we're going to bring on and help us build it. So we're excited. But yeah, please run to Onramp, invest and sign up. And we got more news coming.
Excellent. So before you and I ever met, there was a small company that I was following and watching their development because I thought they were going to have an impact in the industry. And you're actually associated with them now. And I've watched them in their growth, actually a member, and that's Altruist. Tell listeners and viewers a little bit about Altruist and why they should, A, be paying attention, and B, look at the value proposition they believe they bring.
So Jason may be mad at me for this. Why you should be paying the Altruist, pay attention to Altruist, because the Human Advisor podcast, hosted by myself, is the best podcast in the world. But outside of that, again, shout out to Jason and my whole Altruist family. Altruist is a platform that was going to allow financial advisors to run their practice more efficiently and cheaply, with the goal of helping them take on clients that they otherwise wouldn't have been able to work with. But beautiful UX, UI, as you can see, beautiful design, very simple, just a new age digital custodian. That's as far as I could go in terms of what I'm allowed to say. But you can just see, from there what they're trying to do from a software standpoint, a design standpoint, and just really make it very easy for advisors to provide a wonderful experience for their clients. Hence the name, the Human Advisor podcast. There's a human side to Altruist. There's a human side to storytelling. And yes, the tech and design needs to be beautiful, but this what makes Jason so special. Everything that Altruist does is about how you feel using the product, how you feel watching the podcast. And as an advisor, and I know as an advisor, most times it's about how you make clients feel in relation to their money and their goals. So Altruist is trying to disrupt that space and really bring digital advice and digital experience and account opening and all that, but backed by human advisors that story tell well and that human touch. So check out the podcast for sure.
Check out the podcast. And I tell you, even if you're not interested in looking at Altruist right now to add it to your stack, just getting the marketing emails that they send out, they're packed with useful, actionable items for financial advisors. That in itself is worth signing up for.
For sure.
All right, Tyrone, first question. Jeff from Long Beach, a Wirehouse advisor.
Oh, shout out to the Wirehouses. I'm a Wirehouse baby.
What's the Wirehouse advisor supposed to be thinking about now, given the way that they are handcuffed?
Yeah.
As it relates to crypto and Bitcoin?
Fantastic first question. And this is one of the things that I talk about all the time is it matters having this conversation for advisors. And I said it last week, actually, is whether you are Wirehouse, hybrid, or independent. I was at Merrill when I discovered crypto and Bitcoin. It's a no-go. It was not to be mentioned in those advisor meetings. Here's what I would encourage every Wirehouse advisor to do. One, educate yourself. Learn as much as you can, because you are going to get questions from clients. Again, as far as I know, they can't even really speak to it with clients, but learn as much as you can. Also, learn about all of the tools that are out there, all of the different custodians, Unchained, Casa, Gemini, Coinbase, Fidelity. Learn about all of the different custodians and all of the different tools that are available right now for retail, because this is what your clients are using away from you that would also include some of the tools, your Abras, your Cash Apps, your Metal Pays, your Krakens, your Revoluts, all of Robinhood. Just be aware of everything that is out there, because I think that is the one advantage that Wirehouse advisors have, is that they have no choice but to learn, right? They can't do anything, but you can really get super smart and start to build up a knowledge base here and read and learn again. And I would, on the research side, Delphi Digital, Coinmetrics, Glassnode. These are all things that you can just watch now and just kind of, that read-only view, so to speak, and get familiar with it. Crypto assets, I would read that book. I think I got a copy close to me. Hold on here. Look at that. Crypto assets. This is The Intelligent Investor for Crypto. Must have. I was the author. Chris Berninski and Jack Tatar. I messed up his last name, but and again, and here's the most important thing. If I'm a Wirehouse advisor right now, and this is what I did, I would log on to Twitter and I would follow a lot of the crypto Twitter folks, and just to learn. You can't say anything anyway. They don't let you do anything for social media, but just follow folks, learn. And really get familiar with the news and the people that matter and some of the faces and spaces. And I'll end on this. I'm putting together a Bitcoin FA conference for advisors by advisors. 2 days, everything advisors would want to know no matter where you sit. And if you are a Wirehouse advisor, I would encourage you to register under a pseudonym so you can join it. But it's very basic. Day one is very basic. What the hell is this? Second day, we get into a little more detail. That'll be launching and coming out soon, and the conference is in November. So stay tuned for that as well.
Tyrone, is that a digital conference?
Yes.
Virtual?
Digital conference. It'll be virtual. Yep. Okay. It'll be virtual 2 days.
All right. So let's go back just a little bit here. So I'm a Gen X advisor. My audience are financial advisors that are probably mostly Gen X and, late baby boomers.
Okay.
Most of what you just said, they wouldn't even know where to start, right? So the conference seems like a great place to start in November, but for the Wirehouse advisor watching today, and they're getting those questions from their wealthy clients about crypto, and they know that they want to start to learn. Buy the book. Some of the companies that you mentioned, could you single out a handful of them that would be a great place to start? Not because they're the best, but because there would be a great educational experience for the advisor.
Here's a plug for your guest next week, Adam Blumberg. There's a company called Interaxis, right? Interaxis 8, which is Adam Blumberg's company. You can go to YouTube. He does videos, whiteboard videos, extremely basic. What is this stuff? Why it matters? What is blockchain? What is Bitcoin? Adam does a really good job. I would send Wirehouse advisors there. Very simple. Adam is an advisor. A very successful one is that he's not, some little guy looking. A lot of money he manages and responsible for. He understands the space, but understands the value of basic communication. So I would start there from an education standpoint. Also, I would go to, I would look up Delphi Digital. Now, a lot of their stuff can get in the weeds, but they have some basic information there. Kevin Kelly, Anil, Tom Shaughnessy, a lot of those, the whole team there is super smart, but their goal is to provide institutional type research for institutions and pension funds and family offices. So a Wirehouse advisor will be very familiar about how their research looks, but they do have some basic macro. Kevin Kelly is a wonderful global macro mind. I think advisors will get a good start there. And again, I think getting the book Crypto Assets is really important because it's a really rudimentary way of understanding all of the different coins. Appreciate you, man. You guys are best in class. Of what are the different, and again, this was written, I want to say 2014, 2015, and the crypto space evolves every 46 seconds.
That's why we're doing the show on a regular basis.
Right, absolutely. So it is a great place for advisors to start. So I think those three are really important. I think Coinmetrics, and when you start to get into other stuff, can get a little too in the weeds. But here's the bigger point. I say this all the time. When I say there's nothing for advisors in this space right now, there's nothing. There's no research that advisors will feel comfortable reading and putting in front of clients. There's no tools and infrastructure that are specifically geared for us. And I'm seeing this all across the board, even for those that are investing in fintech, don't really understand advisors' workflow, advisor tech, the data that's important to advisors. So there's really nothing here. But I think starting with Interexis, that's a really good start because one, again, it's for us, by us. It's visual, right? Adam does a really good job of writing it out, walking you through the story and the things that matter. And that's really important because I'm a talker. And there's really smart people like Adam that can kind of whiteboard and do things out. My brain just doesn't work that way. This is the best way for me to communicate information. But I would encourage any Wirehouse advisor to start there. And to be honest, Google Bitcoin white paper. Read the white paper. It's 9 pages. Read as much as you can understand. And again, I didn't get through much of it when I first read it. But read the white paper just to kind of get familiar with it. And it shouldn't make sense to you. If it makes sense to you, you don't get it. If you leave with a lot more questions than answers, you're on the right path. And I think there's nothing better than going in. Again, if you then follow Adam on Twitter, you'll start to see a lot of the people that he retweets and everything else. And you could just start to follow along. And then again, send a few DMs, ask questions. Feel free to reach out to myself. My co-founder, Eric Irvin, follow him. He's really good. He was, again, former financial advisor as well. He can speak the traditional language as well as the crypto language very well. And I think once you do that, that's a good place to start.
Excellent. And for a programming note, Adam Blumberg will be on tomorrow on the Live at Lunch broadcast.
Tomorrow? Nice.
Tomorrow. And you know what I didn't realize, Tyrone? Eric has been on the show before. He was on the show 2 years ago when it was a podcast, and I did not realize that you guys were associated with it.
Yeah. Absolutely.
All right. So our first question from YouTube. Cold storage. I have Ledger S and X. Can you back up using both or only one? I don't even understand the question.
Cold storage question. You can back up with both as far as I know. That's a question for Jay at Ledger, who I hope he's watching. I believe you can back up with both. The Ledger X I'm a fan of, but let's go all the way back for you. Right. About cold storage, right. And what that means. So basically that question is about taking self-custody, right. And you can do this on these hardware devices, which by the way, which I tell financial advisors as well, you should have crypto assets in your office and Ledger X, right. Which are branded with your company on it that you slide to a client and say, we're going to get to that at some point.
Wait, can I stop you there? This is one of those things that I think we just lost people because I'm lost.
Yeah, we're going to get there for sure.
What do you mean Ledger X? What do you mean slide that across the table? Is that a physical, like
actual hardware device? And again, I'm going to go back there.
Okay.
So, and here's the story. Client comes to you and says, Tyrone, I own crypto Coinbase. Okay. So the advisor goes, all right, again, no word said. You take that awkward pause, the book, right? The hardware wallet. So at that point, you're telling the client we need to discuss self-custody. And again, cold storage, meaning that it's offline, right? Hot is online, still attached to some type of exchange. Cold is offline, right? Most secure way of securing your crypto. Ledger is a company that allows you, and I have one with me, that allows you to store your Bitcoin on that device, right? So there's a process. Again, it's very techy, very clunky. Don't advise it for everyone, but it is the most secure way to take your crypto off an exchange and store it yourself. And Ledger has hardware wallets that allows you to do that. Ledger, Trezor, there's a few others. So that's what that is. As opposed to, again, here, when you talk about storage for advisors, again, this is custody is a very tricky thing right now. When you open an account at Coinbase, they're basically saying, we're going to handle that for you. We're going to open a wallet for you. No worries. We have it. Don't worry about it. Mm-hmm. Best house, bad neighborhood, right? For an advisor, as I said last week, if a client divulges to you that they own crypto it is in your best interest from a CYA standpoint to say, let's talk about self-custody. Let's talk about ledger. Let's talk about hardware wallets. Let's talk about cold storage. Those are all things advisors need an education on. And 99% of them aren't comfortable having that conversation again, which is why Bitcoin ETF, it solves all of that, right? So that's simple there. But as far as I believe, and again, if Adam is still watching, I do believe you can back up on both. I'm, again, fan of Ledger X. I highly encourage backing up on one. And Ledger X being the fave there, but those that are watching could chime in, and hopefully Jay at Ledger is watching, and he can and I can connect you there if there's a connection need to be made. But definitely suggest backing up on a Ledger X.
Maybe on one of these broadcasts, we could take my small Coinbase account. I think there's $150 in there, and live on the air, move it into a Ledger. So
let's do
what
it.
It looks like. Could we do something like that?
Yeah, absolutely. Let's do it. That'd be awesome.
All right. Next question on Twitter comes from James Raron. I apologize, James. Any thoughts on Ripple getting even a crumb of Swift's business in the cross-border payment space? That might be out of your wheelhouse. Does that apply to our conversation here?
It does apply to our conversation, but that's kind of like us getting into talking about individual stocks and making recommendations. But I will say this. I won't give an opinion on Ripple either way. I will say there is a possibility for them to actually do something impressive there. I think there's a long way to go. I think they have a lot of competition. There's some other things there that may make it hard for them. That is making hard for them now. But even a crumb, yes, I do think there's a possibility, and I think they are making some headway there. If you look at some of the announcement that they have made, again, simply to make money transfer cheaper and faster, there is a possibility there. But for the sake of this conversation, I think that's way over the head of some of those watching. But that is a good question. But yeah, even a crumb, sure. And I think they're making some progress there, but the competition is steep.
Well, this questioner clearly knows what he's talking about, and I am super embarrassed. He's actually a friend of mine of 20 years. His name runs together on Twitter. It's Jimmy Aaron from Richmond, Virginia. Jimmy, I appreciate you coming on and asking the question.
Yeah, great question.
All right, next question. This is out of New York City.
NYC.
Could you give a little bit of an overview on how to account for taxes and your clients as it relates to Bitcoin? And just for my own edification, for somebody who's doing a dollar cost averaging strategy into a Bitcoin solution.
Great question. So again, this is the whole advisor. I'm not a tax professional thing,
Yes.
but some basics here that are really important for advisors to understand. No wash sale rule with Bitcoin, right? So you can sell it, buy it right back. No wash sale rule. For IRS purposes, they consider Bitcoin property. So simple, just like anything else, you got a capital gain. You have to report that. Also, big news here, they just moved whether you own crypto to the front page, right, of the 1040. So again, if you own it, breathe it, set it, walk by something that said Bitcoin, whatever, you wear a Bitcoin shirt, let them know you own it, right? Right away, tell your account, yes, I own some crypto. That's the big one. Again, no wash sale rule. And the last one is this, as far as I know, and again, you are able now, again, to losses, right? Your write-off, right? And tax harvesting, right? Gains with losses with crypto. And I believe that you can take some of your losses and offset those against stock gains, I believe. Again, got to get a crypto CPA on here for that. But those are the big ones right now for advisors. Where it starts to get a little crazy is with DeFi. And again, Adam can get into this tomorrow, where you have clients that are staking, that are collateralizing, that are getting all of these different types of airdrops and everything else. The tax situation can get a little scary. I do want to mention this as well. Here's why financial advisors want to know about clients holding any crypto away from you. Had an advisor reach out, again, had a client Coinbase account. There was roughly $20 million of crypto in that account. The client was getting paid in it, didn't pay taxes on it. That's a Exactly. Now, just imagine if that advisor had a read-only view. He could see the account value increase and ask the client, what are you doing? Right? Oh, I'm doing this and I'm getting paid in it. Now that advisor, right? We all are known for having fantastic COIs, centers of influence. I have this great accountant that specializes in crypto that you should talk to. Allow me to make an introduction. So those are the really important things right now. For the IRS, it's deemed property. So treat it like any other piece of property. If you have cap gains or losses, report them, go through that whole process. But the no wash sale one is huge.
Okay, so there are CPAs that specialize in crypto assets, based on those comments. Is that a big space now, or is it one of these up and coming niches?
It's up and coming. I think you would probably have to ask it. I'm assuming it's a space that is really burgeoning and robust now. Again, is DeFi, right, which is on Ethereum. Decentralized finance increases in popularity. Just also for two reasons. One, again, having Bitcoin is a speculative asset, so those that do trade a lot, and there are some, Coin Tracker amongst a few others, Acquainting and a few others out there that I'm sure have seen increased demand as folks start to trade a lot. From an advisor standpoint, I don't think it's been that much of an issue because, again, even for myself with my clients, it was a passive, right, buy and hold type of strategy. And then you also get into the situation. I've had an issue where there are clients that have very large capital gains and then want the ability to lend, right, to take an income on that to avoid taking that capital gain. So I've had to explore that with drawbridge lending and conversations with BlockFi and a few others. And again, getting into the weeds here. But as an advisor, you do need to be aware of these options that are out there because clients are going to have questions and they may have large positions and they don't want to sell. They could be a trader. I encourage advisors not to work with those that are trading their brains out. And also, again, just simply with clients that, again, telling your advisor or advisors asking, hey, do you own this? It's really important that I know and your CPA know and your whole, personal financial team are aware if you own these assets. Again, trust in the state as well. There's a whole trust in the state piece as well. Digital fiduciary, right? Who outside of you understands this stuff like you do? And everyone usually are like, nah, nobody. I can say that myself. There's, like that are close to me, next of kin. They're not going to understand public and private keys and all this other stuff. So that's a really important conversation for advisors to have as well. So trust in estate planning, tax planning, and financial planning, always the big three. I don't care what the asset is.
Well, I tell you what, on a future broadcast, let's bring on a crypto CPA and the three of us can talk to him. I don't think it'd make a great full episode because I don't watch that, but you know the questions to ask. And we could do the same with an estate planning attorney.
Yes.
And give advisors the framework that they need to actually go and approach those centers of influence.
Absolutely. For sure.
All right. Next question comes from Wookie Index 2. Great profile picture. Is diversification important for investing in various crypto assets? How many is enough?
Oh, man, the good old diversification question. Shout to Jamie Hopkins if he's watching. I am not right now a proponent of crypto diversification. I'm not. I think it's Bitcoin hard stop. That's it. If you're going to diversify at all, maybe ETH, maybe a little ETH. I just feel like you can create a very compelling investment thesis around crypto. Yeah, you can in ETH, again, depending on how much you know. Outside of that, I personally don't suggest it. And again, my word isn't law, but I had clients, new clients come to me and they owned all types of stuff. Right. And then you get into the conversation. Well, why do you own all these altcoins? Altcoins for education purposes is just simply anything that's not Bitcoin is considered an altcoin. Right. Crypto Twitter calls them something else that I can't say here because my mother wouldn't like it. But it starts with an S and rhymes with it. So they call them that type of coin. So that's it. Altcoin is considered anything that's not Bitcoin. Now, there are some advisors that say, hey, you should have access to the top 10. I'm not that advisor, but there's some that may say so. But for me, it's Bitcoin, little bit of ETH, depending on savviness of the client, savviness of the advisor. Perfect example. There were cases where a client would come to me and they have a large Bitcoin position and they would own Monero, Zcash, 0x, all these other. And I'm like, well, why do you own all those alts? Some folks own alts simply to use them to acquire more BTC. All right, I get it. Why do you own, another conversation, why do you own all of these altcoins? It's, a friend of mine told me about it, or, I'm familiar with the friend that's part of the project or whatever. Okay, right? So it starts to get a little iffy when you're just taking it on a flyer. So I'm a big believer in diversification, right? You can kind of go the wrong way with that. Again, shout to Jamie. Jamie would say, well, if you look at the diversified coins versus Bitcoin, I get all of that. But again, for advisors, fiduciaries, planners, again, this is where you get into the money manager versus financial planner conversation. Those that are doing and believe in financial planning, it's Bitcoin, hard stop. Money managers and those that want to mess around and create portfolios and do all of that, diversification may make some sense. But for me, it's you stick with Bitcoin, maybe a little ETH outside of that. I don't advise it.
So what does Jamie Hopkins say about Bitcoin? He thinks you should not be diversified, or you should be?
Jamie thinks you should be diversified. And again, I want to make it very clear. Jamie is probably one of the smartest people in the world. He's an advisor. He's a lawyer. He's a CPA. He's everything. He has all the letters after his name, more degrees than a thermometer.
For those that don't know, Jamie, he's head of consulting at Carson Group right now. He's been on the show before.
Yep. Super smart. And he believes in, we've had this banter, this back and forth on Twitter. Diversification matters to him, and he thinks you should diversify into different cryptos. I don't believe that. So we have that argument, but yeah, he's a fan of diversification for sure.
Okay. Next week, Matt Hogan's coming on the show. I believe from my preliminary research, he believes in diversification. Is that correct?
He does. He also believes in diversification for sure.
Gotcha. Help me reconcile the two and do it through the context that I might play this video clip during my interview with him.
So what the belief is right now is that exposure, like just in traditional investing, right? You tell someone that's new to investing, hey, just own the S&P 500. You get the best, get a little bit of worse, but you're not smart enough to pick the winner, right? The same thought process is being leveraged in crypto right now, and I don't think that makes any sense. There's one clear winner. It's Bitcoin, hard stop. There's no other compelling reason to own anything else. It just isn't. Now, if you want to say, again, you can make an argument for ETH, sure. Everything else, I don't see how you do that. So again, if you're an advisor with fiduciary responsibility, don't advise it. If you're a fund manager, sure, why not, right? But as an advisor with fiduciary responsibility to answer clients' questions and be knowledgeable on what it is that you're opening your mouth about, clients' interest first, not the interests of your LPs, right? Big difference. Now, and again, I love Matt, right? And he sits in a different seat than I do. I just, again, personally wouldn't advise any advisor to do that, right, on your own. But if you're going to, again, Bitwise and their the 10 that they have, and full disclosure here, I want to make it very, very, I'm going to be honest. When Bitwise rolled out their product, I had a client that I enrolled very early to get exposure to that model portfolio that they were building. This is full disclosure. Since that one, he never got the email back to onboard. I poke at Matt about that all the time. And the other thing is I turned the corner on that. Like as I started to get more familiar with it and learn more, I was like, you know what? That probably was the best thing to ever happen to that client. Again, this is just me. I love the guys at Bitwise. I love everything about Bitwise, very smart. I'm just saying for me and my clients, and what I would say, I wouldn't do that, but I do think for some advisors, it would make sense.
Excellent. Tyrone, we've run out of time. I really appreciate you coming on. I can tell you, and I mean this sincerely, I understand the space a little bit better now after we've done a couple broadcasts. I know that my audience has, and we've received great feedback from it. In fact, one of our most downloaded or most watched YouTube shows this year was your last episode here. So I appreciate you coming on.
Absolutely. I appreciate you. Again, shout out to my Onramp family. Keep plugging. I love you all. We're working hard. Thank you again for this. And also don't want to leave without saying, folks, there are hungry children in this country. There are homeless people who need shelter and clothes. Those of us with an abundance of anything have a responsibility to give back and give back now in a big way. I appreciate you.